The origin of this idea came from a little book I read about 25 years ago that was given to me by a client of mine. The title of this book was Alpha Awareness, or How to Flow with the Universe. And it was written by a genius by the name of Wally Minto. The book by Wally Minto was a book full of mental exercises. And one of the exercises that he suggested was that you pick something that you want and mentally bless the first 7 people you see for 21 days. And the promise that he made was that at the end of that 21 days, whatever it is, the possession, the characteristic, would show up in your life because of the mental blessing. What I did, or what I picked, was the ability to play the piano by ear. And the reason I picked this was, number one, I wanted to be able to do it. Number two, I knew it would be a good test because it would be absolutely impossible for that to happen. And number three, because I couldn't do it now if it didn't work, nothing was lost. So after having made this decision, the next morning I got up and I looked out the window. The first person I saw was a jogger going by my house. I blessed this jogger with the ability to play the piano by ear. Now, you don't need to do this out loud, you just think it. Somebody drove by in an old car. I blessed them with the ability to play the piano by ear. By the time I got down to my office with people that I had an emotional connection with, I had 4 or 5 blessings in. And the first person that walked into my office was an individual that was one of my associates. And I don't know how to describe this other than I really hated this man. And this is another story. I don't remember what he was saying to me, but he was doing something like confessing my sins. And I looked at him and I mentally blessed him with the ability to play the piano by ear. And this is what we call cognitive dissonance in the profession. When you force yourself to think something that is out of sync with what you usually think, there's this little voice in the back of your head that tries to get you back in line. This little voice popped up and said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? This is not usually what you bless this man with. You usually bless him with death, or that the earth will open up and suck him in." All of a sudden this light went on, and I recognized that this man was not the problem. It's what I'm thinking about this man when I'm thinking about this man. He could make me angry from 6 miles away. All I had to do was think about him, and the little voice was there telling me what a piece of dirt he was. The light went on in my head. Later that afternoon, as I was driving home, somebody pulled out in front of me from a stop sign. I blessed him with the ability to play the piano by ear. Now the little voice was right there doing its job, saying, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" Because usually what you do in this situation is you bless him with the middle finger salute, broken glass, dented fenders, but not the ability to play the piano by ear. I became so intrigued with what was happening in my mind that I almost forgot why I started this project in the beginning. I started to bless my children with the ability to play the piano by ear when they would irritate me. Anybody that caused me problems became a recipient of my mental blessing. And it didn't take 21 days. 5 days later, I'm sitting in a church meeting, and in walks an individual who sits down and starts to play the piano with no music. Now, I had seen this man play 100 times, because this was the man that played the piano in church. But this is the first time that I noticed that he didn't use music. And it was like he was illuminated by a light from above. This is the individual that had the information for me that I needed to accomplish my goal. I walked up to him after the meeting and I said, "How do you sit here and play the piano with no music?" He told me that he was not able to read music, so he had to find an easier way to do it. And he said, "If you want to do what I do, go down to the music store, buy you a chord book, learn a little bit about music theory, how some of this stuff fits together." He says, "It's just a mathematical sequence. Learn a few chords, and I'll give you 2 weeks, which would then make my 21 days. And by the end of 2 weeks, I'll bet you could play anything." So the next day, I went down to the Samsonaires music store and I found me a chord book, entitled How to Play the Piano Despite Years of Lessons. And it was an amazing experience. It showed me the music clock. It showed me how chords fit in a sequence, 5 notes up or 4 notes down, depending upon which way you're going on the clock. It told me how to play the chords, and it didn't talk about tonics or subtonics. It talked about cracks, and a crack is a line between the keys. You push this key down, count out 1, 2, 3, 4 cracks, plus 3 more cracks gives you a major chord. It gave me one formula for all of the chords, and then with 2 weeks practice, I could play the piano by ear. Came to the place where I could play anything. Now this was an amazing experience. I've tried it for many different things. I blessed people with money to finish my doctoral program at Gonzaga. Now I'm not promising you that if you start to bless people with $80,000 that within 21 days it's going to show up behind your back door. Nor did Wally Mento make that kind of a promise. But what he said, and what I commit to you, is that within 21 days, following this mental focus, something will show up in your life that will bring whatever it is that you're blessing people with into your life. Give it a try. Try it out, and then let me know what happens. Thank you for coming.
Click below.
Click below.